Woohoo! It's Friday again. Can you believe it? I can't believe it. Every week I say it, and every week I'm just as blown away as the week before about how fast these weeks are going by. Um, Also, I just want to say a huge, huge thank you to for all the love. Like I'm seriously just blown away by the amount of love I get on my birthday, and yeah, it's very moving. Like just to be hello, good morning. It's just I don't know, it just feels great. It feels great to be known and acknowledged. And yeah, I don't. All I want to do is be of service and be a contribution to others. That seems to be the thing that makes me the happiest. But then, when the birthday rolls around and everybody wishes me a happy birthday, yeah, it's very moving. Um, I hope you're having a great week so far. I hope you're having a great year so far. And we're going to do a half an hour of investing book club again. Um, yes, I don't know really what else. What I'm thinking about doing is going back to Rich Dad Poor Dad today. I think that's um, going to uh, going to give us some more good knowledge today. We're up to chapter 8, so it really doesn't matter how much you've missed. It doesn't matter how many times you've read this book or haven't read this book. The idea is just to pick up something for yourself and what I love doing, like in my own life, is not actually kind of trying to absorb all of the knowledge of the book and then someday one day do something with it. Like try and pick something and go, okay, that's what I'm going to use today in an experiment or as the context for the day, or I'm going to write down this thing and I'm going to share it with as many people as I can to get their views on it, whatever, right? Like implement it into your life straight away. I do the same thing with chess, jiu-jitsu, parenting, everything. Wherever I can, if I get a piece of information that I think is valuable, I put it in straight away and test it and measure it. If it works, I keep it. If it doesn't work, I chuck it away. And what works for me won't work for you necessarily, of course. But everything in this book, because this is the second time through, I've implemented a lot of it. Um, and yeah, it's good. I was also then, I have realized, like Robert Kiyosaki himself, what I've discovered since this book is that he's gone on to not really achieve all of the things that he talks about in his book to the maximum possible potential, which is always a bit disheartening when someone doesn't walk their talk, but it's going to happen. He just zigged instead of zagging in situations, etc. And he didn't buy as many properties as he could have, etc. He could have gone further with the knowledge that's in this book, but I guess he's not dead yet. He's still around. He could still keep going if he wanted to. All right, let's dive in, shall we? Let's do some. I'm going to also, if I haven't gotten back to your birthday acknowledgement yet, I promise I'll get there. It's like I've been doing this for an hour and a half already this morning, and I need to keep going with it. So I'm getting through them. Thank you so much. All right, I'm going to share my screen, and let's start to. We're going to do it how we always do it. I'm going to take notes as I go, stop the conversation if there's things that stand out to me that I think we should discuss straight away. I really like your interaction as well because, well, it's much more fun when it's a conversation. Rich dad, poor dad notes. All right. Just setting up my screen here before I share it with you. So there's no awkward clicking and dragging. And all right, here we go. All right, all right, all right. Getting started. Yeah, chapter 8. All right. So remember, no matter where you are, don't make it mean anything that you have missed. Hey, how you going, Mish? Good to see you, my friend. Hope you're having a great morning. Let's learn together. I'm excited. The more input you can give me, the more that we can make this a discussion. All right. So keep those fingers tapping away, my friend. All right. I'm gonna share my screen. Let's go. If you get yourself a coffee or something, Mish, you got some sort of morning treat happening. Right, that doesn't look good. I need to change this layout. All right, cool. Thank you. I appreciate that, my friend. That's better. And I'll make the font really big so that you can read that. Ah, yes, I know you do. All right. All right. That's big enough, I reckon. Can you read that okay if I type? All right, here we go. All right.
Choice every day. Invest first in education. In reality, the only real asset you have is your mind, the most powerful tool we have dominion over. Each of us has the choice of what we put in our brain once we're old enough. You can watch TV, read golf magazines, or go to ceramics class or a class on financial planning. You choose. Most people simply buy investments rather than first investing in learning about investing. A friend of mine recently had her apartment burglarized. The thieves took her electronics and left all the books. And we all have that same choice. 90% of the population buys TV sets, and only about 10% buy business books.
Mm.
So what do? I go to seminars. I like it when they are at least 2 days long because I like to immerse myself in a subject. In 1973, I was watching this guy on TV who was advertising a 3 day seminar on how to buy real estate for nothing down. I spent $385, and that course has made me at least $2 million, if not more. But more importantly, it bought me life. I don't have to work for the rest of my life.
That's awesome, Mish. Yeah, I'm constantly in a seminar. I'm either doing like I hire coaches, like private coaches, jiu-jitsu, chess, etc. I do landmark seminars. I do whatever I can. I'm constantly reading books. If I like the author, then I'll go to their seminars. Whatever I can to keep myself in a conversation for growth is the best thing I find. And I probably dedicate like literally is not that much money. The most expensive coach I've ever hired, ever, is my chess coach, which was 2.5 grand US for 3 months. But that was really a test to see what the power of coaching was in a linear measurement performance. Like I basically wanted to see what if I did nothing, I knew, because I'd been working on my own chess journey for a year or more. And then I hired a chess coach for 3 months to see what the notable difference was. And I'm coming to the end of that. And that, like, it will be so easy to display the power of coaching once I've completed that because my growth is significant in comparison to previous growth. And the chess coach has done nothing that I couldn't have done myself. That's the interesting thing. There's nothing magic. All of the information is out there already, but it's about the accountability. It's about seeing the gaps. It's about finding the blind spots. It's all of that sort of stuff. Um, yeah, I feel like I can achieve anything when I'm being coached. And I don't feel like if I've got a chess coach, I'm like, oh shit, you know, I could do anything with my BJJ or anything with my businesses or anything with my parenting or in my intimate relationships. Like I feel like if someone's able to find and point out my blind spots, then someone else will be able to find and identify and my blind spots in other areas. That's how I feel. But I also know that once there's where, like in chess, for example, because my coach is finding patterns in my blind spots, now I'm starting to spot my own blind spots. Like, when should I play? When shouldn't I play? What kind of openings suit me? What kind of end game suits me? When do I need to slow down? When do I need to speed up? All of these sorts of things are becoming available. How about you, Mish? Tell me about what you about what you're learning in your coaching journey. Keep going while you're answering that.
Because of that one course. I go to at least 2 such courses every year.
Hmm.
I love CDs and audiobooks. The reason? I can easily review what I just heard. I was listening to an investor say something I completely disagreed with. Instead of becoming arrogant and critical, I simply listened to that 5 minute stretch at least 20 times, maybe more. But suddenly, by keeping my mind open, I understood why he said what he said. It was like magic. I felt like I had a window into the mind of one of the greatest investors of our time. I gained tremendous insight into the vast resources of his education and experience.
Oh wow, I do like your view. So Mish, just for those of you who are joining us on other social platforms, said, one of the powers of coaching is that you can jump off higher cliffs, proverbial cliffs, because you can invite the mistakes and you feel supported through the journey. And I really do get that. That makes total sense. Like, fail faster. Like, it's not me who's failing, it's the actions that I'm taking that are failing, right? So then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you fail. You can clean it up, fix it up, come back, restore your integrity, do all of those sorts of things. Mish, I totally get you, sister. I'm right there with you. Woo! I'm so pumped up. I don't know if it was because it's my birthday week, but you know, I'm so pumped. I'm so full of love right now. Yeah, bigger risks. Take the risks. Like, what's the worst that can happen? Really, really, there's nothing. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised.
The net result? I still have the old way I used to think, and I now have a new way of looking at the same problem or situation. I have two ways to analyze a problem or trend, and that is priceless. Today, I often say, how would Donald Trump do this? Or Warren Buffett? Or George Soros? The only way I can access their vast mental power is to be humble enough to read or listen to what they have to say. Arrogant or critical people are often people with low self-esteem who are afraid of taking risks. That's because if you learn something new, you are then required to make mistakes in order to fully understand what you have learned. If you have listened this far, arrogance is not one of your problems. Arrogant people rarely read or listen to experts. Why should they? They are the center of the universe. There are so many intelligent people who argue or defend when a new idea clashes with the way they think. In this case, there's...
Yeah, it's pretty on point. And this is the thing, it's not a new book, but it's good to review this. But I love the idea, Mish, that and it's not the truth. I think it's very important that arrogance and critical people could, the driver could be all sorts of different reasons. But I think the place to start looking would be that they suffer low self-esteem or they're fearful of taking risks. Like it makes sense. Makes sense.
So-called intelligence combined with arrogance equals ignorance. Each of us knows people who are highly educated or believe they are smart, but their balance sheet paints a different picture. A truly intelligent person welcomes new ideas, for new ideas can add to the synergy of other accumulated ideas. Listening is more important than talking. If that were not true, God would not have given us 2 ears and only 1 mouth. Too many people think with their mouth instead of listening in order to absorb new ideas and possibilities. They argue instead of asking questions. I take a long view on my wealth. I do not subscribe to the get-rich-quick mentality most lottery players or casino gamblers have. I may go in and out of stocks, but I am long on education. If you want to fly an airplane, I advise taking lessons first. I am always shocked at people who buy stocks or real estate, but never invest in their greatest asset, their mind. Just because you bought a house or two does not make you an expert at real estate. 3. Choose friends carefully. The power of association. First of all, I do not choose my friends by their financial statements. I have friends who have actually taken a vow of poverty, as well as friends who earn millions every year. The point is that I learn from all of them. Now, I will admit that there are people I have actually sought out because they had money. But I was not after their money. I was seeking their knowledge. In some cases, these people who had money have become dear friends. I've noticed that my friends with money talk about money. They don't do it to brag. They're interested in the subject. So I learn from them, and they learn from me. My friends who are in dire financial straits do not like talking about money, business, or investing. They often think it rude or unintellectual. So I also learn from my friends who struggle financially. I find out what not to do.
Yeah, I was having this conversation with my boy this morning over our morning coffee and talking about how, well, what people talk about is what they're interested in, or what actions they take is what they're interested in. So some people like to create drama, for example. That's what they're interested in. They may not necessarily want the drama in their life, but they don't know any other way, and they're fascinated by the drama. So there's stuff to learn from even those people, and it happens in a collective way as well. Whole groups of friends will be into creating drama versus creating wealth or creating love or creating, you know, well, I'm going to say a positive impact, but I don't really subscribe to positive and negative. But yeah, whole groups, like collective groups, even groups of teachers in a school, for example, can be collectively not, can be collectively taking something away, even though they're in a role of contribution. I love teachers, don't get me wrong. I think they're great. But I'm saying that we all as groups can succumb to a collective pull for what is not empowering. So yeah, whatever actions someone or a group are taking, really do define what they're interested in.
I have several friends who have generated over $1 billion in their short lifetimes. The three of them report the same phenomenon. Their friends who have no money have never come to them to ask them how they did it, but they do come asking for one of two things, or both, a loan or a job. Warning, don't listen to poor or frightened people. I have such friends, and while I love them dearly, they are the Chicken Littles of life. To them, when it comes to money, especially investments, it's always the sky is falling, the sky is falling. They can always tell you why something won't work. The problem is that people listen to them. But people who blindly accept doom and gloom information are also Chicken Littles. As that old saying goes, birds of a feather flock together. If you watch business channels on TV, they often have a panel of so-called experts. One expert will say the market is going to crash, and the other will say it's going to boom. If you're smart, you listen to both. Keep your mind open because both have valid points. Unfortunately, most poor people listen.
Yeah, I like that, Mish. I think recently learned not to ask for money, but ask for a means to earn the money. Teach a person to fish rather than give them the fish, right? I definitely agree with that. And I really think that financial literacy is the answer to most of the problems that we face in the world, because poverty leads to a lack of education because they can't afford the education, which leads to, and it's not so much about the education that you get, obviously, like in schools and whatever. That's not the magic bullet to all of life, but this kind of feeling of growth. The feeling of growth builds self-esteem, encourages more actions of growth, encourages sharing the growth, and that kind of creates a world that's growing versus a world that's shrinking, because we know that we can't stand still. We're either shrinking or we're growing. And yeah, the means to earn the money makes total sense. And like you can mix them. You can be like I had a guy come to me for a job. He was about to lose a lot of things, and he was like, "I need to get out of the situation, and I want to create a career." So they're the kind of people I want to help, because he's having the courage to make bold requests, wants to facilitate something with a future, wants to learn new skills. I'm definitely like, even when it puts me out personally, I'm going to bend over backwards to support those sorts of people, who just take powerful action in a crisis.
To Chicken Little. I have had many close friends try to talk me out of a deal or an investment. Not long ago, a friend told me he was excited because he found a 6% certificate of deposit. I told him I earned 16% from the state government. The next day, he sent me an article about why my investment was dangerous. I have received 16% for years now, and he still receives 6%. I would say that one of the hardest things about wealth building is to be true to yourself and to be willing to not go along with the crowd. This is because, in the market, it is usually the crowd that shows up late that is slaughtered. If a great deal is on the front page, it's too late in most instances. Look for a new deal. As we used to say as surfers, there is always another wave. People who hurry and catch a wave late usually are the ones who wipe out. Smart investors don't time the markets. If they miss a wave, they search for the next one and get themselves in position. This is hard for most investors because buying what is not popular is frightening. Timid investors are like sheep going along with the crowd. Or their greed gets them in when wise investors have already taken their profits and moved on.
I think Warren Buffett said, and I don't know if it's from this book or not, but Warren Buffett said, be greedy when people are fearful and be fearful when people are greedy. And that's really stuck with me as a quote. And for people who try to talk us out of things, that's what he's been talking about earlier with people, if they're arrogant or critical, it could be that they suffer low self-esteem or that they're fearful of taking risks or something else. But yeah, when people try to talk us out of things, it's often with the context of, I'm trying to protect you, right? But how can they know? How can they know what is going to be good and what is going to be bad for an investment? Like, I don't know. I sometimes I'll research and still get it wrong. Sometimes I'll do no research and it will work out in my favor. There is really, like, investing is not a straightforward one size fits all, be conservative always kind of thing. It's not that at all. It's context decisive.
Wise investors buy an investment when it's not popular. They know their profits are made when they buy, not when they sell. They wait patiently. As I said, they do not time the market. Just like a surfer, they get in position for the next big swell. It's all insider trading. There are forms of insider trading that are illegal, and there are forms of insider trading that are legal. But either way, it's insider trading. The only distinction is, how far away from the inside are you? The reason you want to have rich friends is because that is where the money is made. It's made on information. You want to hear about the next boom, get in and get out before the next bust. I'm not saying do it illegally, but the sooner you know, the better your chances are for profits with minimal risk. That is what friends are for, and that is financial intelligence. 4. Master a formula and then learn a new one. The power of learning quickly. In order to make bread, every baker follows a recipe, even if it's only held in their head. The same is true for making money. Most of us have heard the saying, you are what you eat. I have a different slant. I say, you become what you study. In other words, be careful what you learn, because your mind is so powerful that you become what you put in your head. For example, if you study cooking, you then tend to cook. If you don't want to be a cook anymore, then you need to study something else.
Interesting.
When it comes to money, the masses generally have one basic formula they learned in school, and it's this: work for money. The predominant formula I see in the world is that every day millions of people get up, go to work, earn money, pay bills, balance checkbooks, buy some mutual funds, and go back to work. That is the basic formula, or recipe. If you're tired of what you're doing, or you're not making enough, it's simply a case of changing the formula via which you make money. Years ago, when I was 26, I took a weekend class called How to Buy Real Estate Foreclosures. I learned a formula. The next trick was to have the discipline to actually put into action what I had learned. That is where most people stop. For 3 years, while working for Xerox, I spent my spare time learning to master the art of buying foreclosures. I've made several $million using that formula. So after I mastered that formula, I went in search of other formulas. For many of the classes, I did not directly use the information I learned, but I always learned something new. I have attended classes designed for derivative traders, commodity option traders, and chaologists. I was way out of my league, being in a room full of people with doctorates in nuclear physics and space science. Yet, I learned a lot that made my stock and real estate investing more meaningful and lucrative. Most junior colleges and community colleges have classes on financial planning and buying traditional investments. They are good places to start, but I always search for a faster formula. That is why, on a fairly regular basis, I make more in a day than many people will make in their lifetime. Another side note, in today's fast changing world, it's not so much what you know anymore that counts, because often what you know is old. It is how fast you learn. That skill is priceless. It's priceless in finding faster formulas, recipes, if you will, for making dough. Working hard for money is an old formula born in the day of cavemen.
Mm.
5. Pay yourself first. The power of self-discipline. If you cannot get control of yourself, do not try to get rich. It makes no sense to invest, make money, and blow it. It is the lack of self-discipline that causes most lottery winners to go broke soon after winning millions. It is the lack of self-discipline that causes people who get a raise to immediately go out and buy a new car or take a cruise. It is difficult to say which of the 10 steps is the most important, but of all of the steps, this step is probably the most difficult to master if it is not already a part of your makeup. I would venture to say that personal self-discipline is the number one delineating factor between the rich, the poor, and the middle class. Simply put, people who have low self-esteem and low tolerance for financial pressure can never be rich. As I have said, a lesson learned from my rich dad was that the world will push you around. The world pushes people around, not because other people are bullies, but because the individual lacks internal control and discipline. People who lack internal fortitude often become victims of those who have self-discipline. In the entrepreneur classes I teach, I constantly remind people to not focus on their product, service, or widget, but to focus on developing management skills. The 3 most important management skills necessary to start your own business are management of 1. Cash flow, 2. People, 3. Personal time. I would say the skills to manage these 3 apply to anything, not just entrepreneurs. The 3 matter in the way you live your life as an individual or as part of a family, a business, a charitable organization, a city, or a nation.
Mm.
Each of these skills is enhanced by the mastery of self-discipline. I do not take the saying, pay yourself first, lightly. The statement, pay yourself first, comes from George Clason's book, The Richest Man in Babylon. Millions of copies have been sold. But while millions of people freely repeat that powerful statement, few follow the advice. As I said, financial literacy allows one to read numbers, and numbers tell the story. By looking at a person's income statement and balance sheet, I can readily see if people who spout the words, pay yourself first, actually practice what they preach. In reality, each month, many allocate money to their asset column before they pay their monthly expenses. Although millions of people have read Clason's book and understand the words, pay yourself first, in reality, they pay themselves last.
Mm.
Now, I can hear the howls from those of you who sincerely believe in paying your bills first, and I can hear all the responsible people who pay their bills on time. I am not saying be irresponsible and not pay your bills. All I am saying is do what the book says, which is pay yourself first. If you can truly begin to understand the power of cash flow, you will soon realize why 90% of people work hard all their lives and need government support like Social Security when they are no longer able to work.
All right, we're going to dive deeper into paying yourself first next week. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Profit First, which we'll probably read at some point. Barefoot Investor, if you're, for personal finances. These sorts of systems are just so powerful at transforming finances, and paying yourself first definitely very important factor, because it's a huge motivator as well, to make more money. And I've just discovered over the years that, like, I take myself out of the game if I can't eat. That's the bottom line. So, you know, it's a very interesting topic. We're going to dive deeper into it next week. I really like the idea that one of the reasons why we don't pay ourselves first is because we don't trust ourselves, or we have low self-esteem, like I'm not worth it, or I haven't generated enough, or all of these sorts of kind of inner dialogues are low self-esteem, I think. And yeah, I also live in a constant state of trying to transform those things, and then they'll come back. I'll succeed, then they'll come back. I'll succeed, then they'll come back. It's fine. Like, that is the journey of business. Someone came to me the other day, in fact, and said, I've got limiting beliefs around how I run a business because I'm over servicing people. And what I'm thinking right now, my current frame of mind, is that in this world, in this business climate, actually people want to be over serviced. So over service and over deliver has become my new kind of mantra here, that I'm having my team take on, not under promise, over deliver, but over promise and then over deliver on those promises. And then that will bring us raving customers, and it will lower our margins slightly, but it should, for where it lowers our margins, it should rapidly increase our scale. That's all we're going to talk about this week. I really thank you for being here with me. I had a great time. Mish, thank you so much for all your contributions this week. I need a Mish every week. I need at least one person to dive in and interact with me just like that. It makes a huge difference for me. It's a lot more fun. Thank you again for all of the birthday wishes. Let's dive deeper on why you should pay yourself first next Friday. Have a happy weekend. Much love.